Hello and welcome to PRSay. This is the official podcast of the Houston chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. I'm your host, Veronica Sopher, with Veronica V, Sopher Public Relations, and I have the honor of hosting this show and getting to know members, bringing them to you so that we can connect when we do meet in person. So thank you for joining us. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSay. And if you were watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments so that my guest and I can connect with you. We'll go ahead and get started and bring on today's guest to PRSay. We have Misha McClure. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Veronica. Thank you so much for having me on this show today. I'm really excited to have a conversation.
I'm so excited too. And the best part of our conversation is that we're going to get to ask you a tons of questions that you already know the answers to.
I hope I know the answers to them.
Well, Misha, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you work and your area of expertise in PR.
Oh, absolutely. So, Misha McClure, I have been in the Houston area since, oh my goodness, since 2002. My journey to where I am today started with working at the Green Sheet, which is an advertising publication. I was there for 10 years doing community relations and community outreach. From there, I joined the Comcast Houston family, started in community impact, worked my way through community impact to public relations, and now I am back to community impact, and I am the director of external affairs for Comcast Houston region, and I lead all of our philanthropic giving as well as our digital equity efforts. So my passion, I really get to go to work every day and really live out my passion by working with nonprofit organizations and supporting the community to make sure that we're really creating a future with unlimited possibilities for everyone.
Oh, that is so powerful. And how lucky are we that we get to get up every day and go do what we were called to do? I am so excited for you because it sounds like tons of fun.
It's tons of fun. But what I like, and I'll go back to your original question, how I'm tied to PRSA. You'll see that when I started at Comcast, I was in the community impact space, but I moved from community impact doing the work to PR, where I actually had an opportunity to tell the story of the work that was being done. And when I tell you, I just have so much admiration and just I appreciate PR work so much because they are the ones that have to be tasked with making sure those stories are told in a meaningful and impactful way. And Veronica, I know you have your own company, your own PR firm, and I know you've seen the change that's happened in the PR landscape from how we used to rely heavily on clip reports and all of that to now everything is really digital. And it
Mhm.
really pushed that way through the pandemic. And people having access to technology and being able to have the digital skills to use it is very important in the PR space.
Absolutely, 100%. I was teasing when I was talking to someone recently, and we talked about how we used to pitch according to the 10 o'clock news or the 5 o'clock news, and that's not how we pitch anymore. Now, media is 24/7, and news is 24/7. So those of us on the pitching side of it, doing public relations, we are generating content on a 24-hour cycle now, and before it wasn't like that. And so I applaud the work that you did there at Comcast, because I know that it was probably really challenging as we were transitioning through that digital way of thinking, and now we're here.
Absolutely. And you know what? It really speaks to innovation and being
Mhm.
able to adapt with the change in times. You said news is 24/7 now, and the news stations had to adapt to that as well, with making sure that they have their social media channels, making sure that they have a social media manager that is able to really go in and interact with people. People want to be able to interact and get their news real time. So you're absolutely correct.
Mhm.
It's ongoing. It's 24/7.
It is. It is. And so that's lots of good stories for us to tell. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in the community engagement space and the community impact space, because I think it's really important. A lot of us in PRSA, we do events or we sponsor and do some marketing opportunities and collaborations with nonprofits. But this is your full-time job. You are working with nonprofits and collaborating all the time. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you over at Comcast.
And I'm going to tell you, really, it's for me, when I say it's my passion to be able to do this and support nonprofit organizations through funding, through in-kind support, through those types of efforts, because they are the ones out there that's really doing the work. So I have an opportunity to connect with a plethora of nonprofit organizations to really get to learn what they're doing in the space of supporting our communities, whether that be from feeding kids who are food insecure, or making sure that people have access to digital skills so they can adequately participate in workforce development, or even if it's an organization where they are working off volunteers, where you're engaging with students to make sure that they have interview or soft skills that they need for economic mobility. It's a range of organizations that I get to work with, but it's really, I would say it's touching to me to know that there are individuals out there that are in the nonprofit space, boots on the ground every single day, doing the work. And I have an opportunity to really give them a hand up in helping the community. It's truly impactful. And the PR side, bringing that back into it, the work that I does, it's typically unsung until the PR team comes in and they're able to really tell the story of the work that we're doing and how we're touching those communities. And I'll bring in the digital equity piece. We know that there were disparities between people who had access to internet prior to the pandemic. But when the pandemic hit, what you saw is that there were kids at home that needed to homeschool. But guess what? They may have had a laptop, but they didn't have internet access. Or they had internet access, but they didn't have the tools or the digital skills to actually know how to leverage that. You had senior citizens that needed to do virtual doctor's visits. But what are they doing? They're taking it from their mobile phone. You can't really do a doctor's visit from a mobile phone. And guess what? It's even harder to go and try to sit in a parking lot just to get connectivity to connect to your laptop. So I would say we've been in the space of digital equity for many, many years, but it was elevated when the pandemic hit, and we've really advanced our efforts in that space. And we have made a $1 billion commitment to making sure that we give access to digital equality for everyone, as well as creating opportunities for them to fully participate in the digital economy, but so they can have economic mobility as well.
Oh, that's so powerful and so true, because we did see it in the pandemic, and now that's the wave of the future. We know that there are whole companies who are changing their workforce to work from home or to have more flexibility. So I applaud the work that you're doing, and it sounds like it's very, very powerful, especially for our community. One last question before we wrap up. I want to ask you one piece of advice that you would give a young professional coming into our space. Tell us one thing you've learned or garnered in your area of expertise that you want to pass along.
I would say, don't stop learning.
Mm.
Don't think that you've gotten so far to where you know everything, where you can't continue to learn. Learning is an ongoing process. And we were just talking about that, Veronica, how we are pursuing APRs. We're pursuing all of these other certifications and trainings because we want to be the best at what we do. That is the best advice I would give to young professionals. Don't stop learning and never give up, because you never know what doors will open for you when you're out there networking and learning. You get to meet new people. So don't stop learning is the advice I would give.
Well, that is fantastic advice. I love it, Misha. All right. How can people connect with you? How can other PRSay members reach out and get to know you so that when we do get together for in-person events, you've already got connections?
Definitely feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Misha McClure. I'll definitely add you as a friend, and just stay connected. Drop me an inbox and let me know, hey, I saw you on PRSay and I wanted to get to know you a little bit better.
Awesome. All right, Misha. Well, I'll be sending you my connection here in just a minute.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys, that was this episode. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Misha. She sounds fantastic. I want you to connect with her on LinkedIn. This podcast is all about getting to know our members. We want to grow our network here in the Houston area so that our chapter is super powerful and provides everything we need to grow as professionals. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSay. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us a comment and Misha and I will connect. And with that, this is Veronica Sopher signing off, and I will see you soon.